according to me, in India more so, there even before the pandemic, there has been a sort of waging war against mental illnesses, largely because of the disproportionate ratio between mental health professionals and the need of the population. And this is a known fact. There are statistics out there to know, for to be very evident that as against the need of the hours, against the number of people who go through depression or even suicide rates and the number of professionals that are available, there's a huge disparity in that. Now, lockdown, of course, like clearly mentioned by Mrs. Chaturvedi also, that it has been it has impacted us in those three ways that she was mentioning, whether it is social distancing, whether it is, not being able to go out and enjoy the things that we would enjoy outside the house. But the one thing that it really did is that it got a sudden shift or a drastic alteration in our daily routines. Now, when I was talking earlier about mental health, like Dr. Anand was mentioning about emotional health being the more relevant word, that stigma also somewhere I feel like has gotten addressed over the last 6 months, because earlier people would look at mental health as only when you have a problem. But in these 6 months, while they were at home and while the focus shifted to taking care of your physical health and the importance attached to it, just to prevent yourself from COVID and prevent yourself from the fear of the virus outside, and staying indoors and facing the challenges that that brought along with it, like all the other speakers have spoken. The importance of mental health became relevant to most people because they started understanding the need to take care of their emotions, take care of their interpersonal interactions, and started observing at a very personal level how these things were impacting their day-to-day routine, which earlier was not so common. So according to me, over the last 6 months, I do feel like mental illness has separated itself from that to mental health, and people are able to look at mental health as physical health. So when I take care of my physical health and I eat clean, or I go to the gym, or I do certain things to take care of my physical health, exactly in the same light, I extend that to taking care of my mental health, and there's no stigma. I do completely understand that in parts of our country there is a stigma attached to it. There was a much stronger one earlier, but that is now sort of destigmatizing because people are becoming more accepting and more aware of the need to take care of mental health. Of course, the major reasons that have impacted majority of the people, I mean, at some level, in a variable, everybody has been affected, like without exception. But I feel the population that got most affected was probably the ones who were already going through financial strain, probably the ones who already had any kind of pre-existing psychological concerns going on, because they just got amplified, and they just they found it tougher to be able to manage their pre-existing psychological disturbances along with the lockdown, because the anxiety and the depression that the lockdown brought over and above their existing condition made it much tougher for them to handle. Other than that, the aspects that have affected the population in general, whether it is in India or anywhere across the globe, has been unemployment, first to say, because the economic hardship that it brought. I mean, even without the pandemic, there have been ample studies that indicate the strong correlation between mental health and economic hardship. And I say this because financial hardship usually it's like a vicious circle. So when somebody is going through mental health concerns, it does impact their financial stability because of their emotions and their mental health situation. And when there is financial hardship, it also affects. So it's a vicious cycle that happens, and it's to that extent that financial hardship is usually seen as a stressor that for many people causes signs and symptoms that are close to a post-traumatic stress disorder experience and things like that. So mental health consequences of economic hardship or job loss and have only been amplified in in these times. Of course, other than that, like we have discussed, earlier, the uncertainty of the future, uncertainty of the future from I don't know when I will see my relatives next. For some people who are in the vulnerable age group, I don't know if I will see them. For some people who have had job loss or have had exceeding hours at work and things like that, I don't know. Uncertainty of I don't know when life will go back to normal and when I will be able to work from an office space and things like that. And beyond that, a general threat to health, threat to the future plans that we had for ourselves, health not just my own but also threat to the health of my family members, which is also a very high stressor for most people, that they worry. I mean, the fear of death or the fear of loss of a loved one is very high, not just, and that surpasses very often my fear of death for myself, because I fear losing someone more than my own health situation. So these are some factors. Of course, you can't touch upon this topic without saying that as humans, we're all social animals, and we're hardwired into having human connection or one-to-one interaction with people. And the isolation that came along with the lockdown, the loneliness that it caused to a lot of people. So you were staying with family, but you were still feeling lonely because you weren't able to do the things that you would like to do. Modern day sense of freedom, like Dr. Anand was mentioning earlier, and I'm just going to pick on that point, because what is a modern day sense of freedom? Earlier, as freedom was seen, freedom was understood in a very different light. Today, freedom is that I have the freedom to go out, I have the freedom to spend money or spend my time or do things the way I like to. I have the freedom to move around, and it was exactly that freedom that was taken away. All of a sudden, not known how to take care of. So yes, initially people adapted to it, thinking that it is a thing of the time being, and we need to do it as our social responsibility or personal responsibility towards health or towards community health. But as time kept passing by, it became more and more difficult for people to keep at it, more and more difficult for people to think that this new life or this new way of life is so easily adaptable, because like I said, they're hardwired into, whether out of human nature or out of old habits, we are accustomed to doing things a particular way. So that has been a major factor for the mental health consequences that have happened for most people. Of course, the resistance to change that we also talk about, that people are generally very resistant to change. They take time to adapt to it. They take time to understand how much they should kind of adapt to it. That also was there initially, and has gradually gotten better. But overall, I do feel like when we talk of mental well-being, instead, like when we talk of mental health and not mental illness, it is important, like previous speakers have also highlighted, the need to focus on the good, the need to focus on the things that we are able to do in the time, in the time that we have, to build a mental well-being, an environment for mental well-being for everybody, whether it is your smaller unit of your own house, to introduce the concept of resilience, to be grateful for the things that we have, and certain practices that can help relieve the stress, whether it is for you or it is for your family members. It could be something as simple as practicing relaxation exercises for those who are just not able to contain their anxiety, or are having a lot of difficulty with the fear of COVID. Or it could also be setting realistic goals, because we all started off with saying that by June it'll be over, then by now people are saying, oh, by Diwali it'll be over, and we don't know. So it's important that we set realistic goals, to say that our goals are not time bound. They're just about us being able to do the things that we can achieve right now, and they're realistic in the sense that we don't set deadlines for ourselves to say by this time we have to achieve this, because we don't know. So we are somewhere accepting the uncertainty or the timing of this entire pandemic, and moving forward or adapting to that in a healthy way. Of course, like we spoke of mental health in comparison to physical health, I am going to also extend that to say taking care of your health gives you a sense of control over the situation, because you know that you're doing everything that is in your capacity to feel like like, there's nothing, no stone you have left unturned to take care of the matter. So whether it is your eating healthy food, making sure that you are um, uh, taking all the precautions if and when you step out of the house, making sure you're maintaining your social distancing, all of the things that you have to do in your capacity, you must do. Exercising regularly, because your physical health and your emotional health and your mental health, everything goes in tandem. The moment you emotionally start going 5 steps, 10 steps behind, your physical immunity is going to suffer. So these are some things that I feel, as a family first, that's your first unit, we need to introduce, and then we extend that to schools, we extend that to communities, to say that emotional resilience is something that we need to derive out of this entire experience and focus on that. Once we do that, then we are better prepared to also adapting back to when things come to being normal. A, we don't know when that's going to happen. B, we don't know how much of it is going to happen, how easily we will go back to certain things and not to certain things. If I, as a unit or as a family or as a community, am aware of my resilience or my strength as an individual, or my emotional and mental strength, I become more capable and more confident to adapt to that. And I'm able to share that confidence with the people who I live with. I'm able to share the positive side of this, instead of sharing the stress, instead of sharing my fears with somebody else, and then those fears amplifying into larger reasons of anxiety. So these are some of my thoughts on not just the impact of mental health, on impact of the lockdown and the pandemic on mental health, but also just a few ideas on how people can cope with it.